So welcome again. I'm Marnie Smith from the Burlington Public Library. Welcome to tonight's program, A Musical Journey, part of Discover India series. This program series is brought to you through a partnership between the India Association of Greater Boston and the Burlington Public Library, and with participation of public libraries in Andover, Grafton, Groton, Reading, Westford, and Woburn. I'd like to thank the members of the India Association of Greater Boston and Deepali Khanzode, our presenter for the night, for the generous donation of their time and knowledge to make this series happen. You're invited to join us for next week's program called Spice Bowl on Tuesday, May 30th, starting at 7 p.m. If you enjoyed tonight's program, I'd also invite you to tell a friend and help us spread the word about this program and the knowledge of India's many cultural wonders. I'll put the registration link in the chat so that you can register now for next week's program. Tonight's program will be a presentation followed by a question and answer session. In order to ask questions, please feel free to do so at any time using the Q&A feature within Zoom, and your questions will be answered at the end of the program. Joining me is Maya Tamhankar, a director of the India Association of Greater Boston, who will introduce tonight's program.
Thank you, Marnie, Michael Wick, and Burlington Library, and all of the New England area libraries. This is the second year of IAGB's partnership with Burlington Library, and we really appreciate this partnership. For the last 60 years, Indian Americans have come together through IAGB and integrated into the larger New England community. This Discover India series brings many flavors of India's culture to you in a very interactive way. Now, I would like to introduce today's musical journey presenters, Deepali Khanzode, Phil Kaplan, and Yogesh Karale. Deepali Khanzode plays Sitar, a string instrument. Yogesh Karale plays Tabla, a percussion drum, and Phil Kaplan plays Guitarod, a custom electric guitar. Please welcome Deepali Khanzode and Phil Kaplan.
Hello, everyone. Namaste. So thank you, IAGB and Burlington Public Library affiliates for giving us an opportunity to present our instrument segment around the Hindustani classical music. So I will start a little presentation, and in between we'll play some clips, and there are opportunities for you to ask questions. So it will be very interactive session, I believe. So let's see. So just to give you a little bit background around what Hindustani music is, it's a classical music of Indian subcontinent, and Indian classical music is developed from ancient Vedic literature called Natya Shastra. So Natya is a theater, and Shastra is a science. So that's a nice literature that it comes from. The music comes from that, basically. And later in 13th and 15th century, Indian classical music was differentiated into Northern Indian classical, which is called Hindustani, and South Indian classical music, which is called Carnatic music. So Hindustani music usually emphasizes on improvisation, exploration around raga, while Carnatic music is usually tend to a short composition base. They also do improvisation, but they stick to their compositions more. So in Hindustani classical music, we have two main branches, vocal and instrumental. So today we will be presenting instrumental segment. To just name a few instruments, so we have some string instruments, sitar that you will hear today. There is a sarod, which is I usually call it as a fretless guitar, where it looks like guitar, but it's fretless. and there is a santoor, which is also string played with sticks. And wind instruments, we have flute and we have shahnai as well. And we have percussion instruments as tabla, we have some dholak and pakhwaj. So I'll give you a little background about sitar. So as I mentioned, sitar is a string instrument which has 7 main strings and 15 resonant strings, which is we usually play first 2 or 3 main strings, and which is made up of pumpkin. The lower part is made up of pumpkin, which is called tumba, and the neck is made of wood, and the side knobs are usually for tuning. So next is a Guitarod, and I will have Phil to explain the Guitarod, that's his instrument.
Thank you, Deepali. The Guitarod is really just a modified guitar. I use a solid body, but you could also make a Guitarod out of an acoustic guitar. And the main difference between a Guitarod and a regular guitar is that the neck is fretless. In other words, it's a lot like a cello or a violin neck. And that way, one is able to slide into or out of notes and do one's ornamentations of the notes with a maximum amount of a linkage, or in music we call it legato, from note to note. And so really it's meant to be able to do what the human voice does. And I use my teacher, my guru, plays sarod. That's his main instrument, and so I have customized the guitar to emulate a sarod. And my instrument has 1 extra melodic string, 5 instead of just 4, but otherwise it is tuned like a sarod is tuned. And I have a couple of extra strings which are just used for extra sound enhancement. They're drone strings. Otherwise it's very much like a regular electric guitar or just a guitar.
Next, we have a tabla, which is Indian percussion, which is usually accompanies vocal singing segment as well as instrument segment. So the big drum here is called the dagga, and the small slender is called tabla, basically. So it's mainly, as I said, accompanying the Hindustani classical music. Drums are made of hollowed wood and metal. Also, it produces treble tonal sound, while dagga gives a bass and is played with the hands. So today we don't have Yogesh ji joining us. So let's watch introduction on tabla by Yogesh ji, and we will continue our discussion. So bear with me while I share the video.
Today, artist presenting the piece of melody is going to be in a 16-beat cycle. The 16-beat cycle in our rhythmic language is basically tal, teen, tal. Every beat cycle has been given some name, so that for the 16-beat cycles we call it as a teen, tal. So this is a basically instrument tabla which is played with the fingers mostly, and you can see the pair of two wooden logs, and then we play with fingers on it. So basically, the 16-beat cycles goes in Teen Tal. I will recite the bowls or how the
Deepali, we don't see video.
like.
Oh, okay. Right.
You didn't.
Share. Did I share? Share Tabla. He share करायला पाहिजे ना.
Share the whole desktop.
Okay. We just share that one, no, for now.
Can you see the video?
Yes.
A 16-beat cycle. The 16-beat cycle in our rhythmic language is basically Tal Teen Tal. Every beat cycle has been given actually some name, so that for the 16-beat cycles we call it as a Teen Tal. So this is a basically instrument tabla, which is played with the fingers mostly, and you can see the pair of two wooden logs, and then we play with fingers on it. So basically, the 16-beat cycles goes in Teen Tal. I will recite the bowls or how the Teen Tal goes. So Teen Tal bowl goes like dha din din dha din din dha tin tin ta din din dha din din dha din din dha tin tin ta din din dha. So basically it starts from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. This is how the cycle goes, and then we keep on rolling that after every cycle by cycle. The piece melody which they are going to play is going to start from the 12th beat, and for them I am just showing them the cycle of how that 16 beats I will be keeping on repetitive of that 16 beats, and they will be showing their creativity within that 16-beat cycle. So they are going to be presenting this whole melodic presentation in 3 different tempo. So first tempo is very slow tempo. We call it in our language we call it as vilambit lay, which is basically a slow tempo. Our later on performance will be in the madhya lay. Madhya lay is basically the medium tempo, then which will gradually further go and increase the speed, and it will end up in a faster tempo which we call as a drut lay. So you will be see the combination of this same tal, how it is presented in slower tempo, same tal how it will be presenting in a medium, and how it goes to gradually increases to the faster tempo. In between my presentation, or when I am accompanying with the main artist over here, I will be playing some little bit of Teen Tal, our basically language. I will be showing you the language which we present, and we are accompanying it based on how the rhythmic melodic creations goes on. So we are going to introduce the small bowls, small pieces of our languages which I am going to play. The way we present is just to make it impressive, rather than making it just playing that 16 cycle will not make us much impressive, like it will be like a mechanical thing. So we are trying to accommodate both impressive language along with the basic language of the tabla. So that's how I'm going to present Tal Teen Tal. Hope you enjoy it. Thank you. Teen Tal goes like this. Dha din din dha dha din din dha dha din din dha dha din din. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Dha din din dha din din dha dha din din dha dha din din dha dha.
Okay. All right. Is it sharing? Can you see the presentation?
No.
Oh. Now, yes.
Yes.
Thank you. So after the present tabla, I'm continuing just a little bit more around what the raga is. So I'm not going deep into what exactly raga is. So I'm going to tell you, like, we have 7 basic notes. Ascending, we call it aroha, which goes at sa re ga ma pa dha ni sa, and descending is avaroha, which goes at sa ni dha pa ma ga re sa. And Phil, do you want to explain in compared to the Western?
Sure. It's actually at the basic level, really, there's a lot in common. What we call solfege, that's what in Indian music we call sargam. And as Deepali said, it's so sa is the equivalent of do. And sa re ga ma, do re mi fa, and on up. And just as in the Western system, the octave that is from do to the do above it, or sa to sa, can be divided more or less into 12 equal steps, half steps and whole steps. And each individual raga will take will select 5, 6, or 7 of the basic notes. And each raga will have its characteristic melody that you learn to recognize if you grow up with that musical in that musical environment. Some ragas, and Deepali can take over from me in a minute again. Some ragas, such as the one we are playing today, only use 5 of the notes. It's a pentatonic, meaning 5 notes. And again, just as in Western music, certain of the notes of the scale can be lowered by a half step. So, for example, do, re, mi, both the re and the mi can be flatted. That is, the pitch is lowered by 1/2 step, and the different combinations of the flatted notes and the natural notes create the melodies that one recognizes. Really, again, a lot like in Western music. So you want to talk about
Sure, you can do it.
Oh.
You're already there.
Okay. Well, so the rag that we are presenting today is called Malkons, and in it it's a pentatonic. We only have 5 notes. We have sa or do. Then it jumps to komoga, which in the Western system would be mi flat, or if we're in the key of C, do would be C, and the next note up would be E flat. Then we have fa or ma, madhyam in the sargam system. Then we have dha komo, meaning it would be A flat in the key of C, followed by B flat. So again, 5 notes. In the Western system, in the key of C, it would be C, E flat, F, A flat, and B flat. And then it just, it goes on a both above and below, but those are the 5 notes that are used in malcones. And note, and this is one of the things that gives malcones its very particular sound, recognizable sound and mood. There is no re, and there is no pancham, which would be the 5th or the G note in the key of C, which normally, for if you know a little bit about music, the G note or the 5th degree of the scale is usually a very important note, a very stable and harmonious sounding note. But in malcones, in this rag that we're presenting, it's absent. And that just contributes to the sort of sad or what's the word we want? Sort of melancholy sound that malcones provides.
All right. So we're just going to give you a format of the concert, what we will be playing. So we will start with alap, which is little bit expansion of a raga to create a raga mood, as Phil just mentioned. And we followed by a slow beat composition. We call it a vilambit, which is set in 16-beat rhythm cycle. So as Yogesh also mentioned, this part, followed by medium beat composition, again 16-beat rhythm cycle. And then we'll conclude with faster composition and jhala. So jhala is a kind of special characteristics of Indian string instrument. It's a little fast pace alterations of main melody strings, and we pick the last two strings. We call it chikari. Is there such thing in Guitarod?
Yeah, those are the double string, of course, the strings are tuned an octave apart to give it a little more body or depth. But that's the main extra innovation of the Guitarod, is that it has this the chikari strings, which serve to you can create rhythm with them, and it fills out the sound of the single notes.
All right. So next we will listen a small clip of alap and vilambit, and followed by we can have a little bit of discussion around alap, vilambit, or anything in between. So to stop sharing and share the video now. How are we doing? But then you have to share. It's not. So at this point, I guess we can have some questions if there are any.
We do have one question.
Okay.
Man Tarpit Hari Darsan. Is that based on Raga Malkums? Am I pronouncing that anywhere near
Is that-
something that you can
Yeah, I got it.
understand?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, someone is asking, there is a Bollywood song which is Manat Tadapata Haridareshanako. Is it based on Rag Malkums? So yes, it is based on Rag Malkums. So are there any other questions, or we can move on to the next?
Well, I do have one question.
Sure.
Deepali, I was fascinated with your sitting position, holding your instrument. Can you tell me about that?
So you have to sit cross-legged, obviously, and then you put the tumba on one of your leg. So that's the basic posture that you require to hold the whole sitar and play up and down. So it's not very heavy instrument. It's kind of light, but it's just bulky. And then you have to adjust with your elbow, and then you pluck it with we call it like what is it called?
Plectrum.
Plectrum. We call it jaba, not jaba, mizraf. So it's made of a wire, and you just pluck it with your fingers, and at the simultaneously you play. So, but that's how you have to sit that way, basically. Yeah.
It was incredibly impressive. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So let's go back to the next segment, and let's see. So next we will be presenting basically the Vilambit, Madhyalay, small tempo bit, medium bit tempo, and conclude with Jala. And then again, we will have some questions and answers based on anything. What up? Okay. Mr. Anish. Where do we go? Explain. right, so that concludes our presentation. And we would like to thank you to IGB as well as Burlington Public Library affiliates, and we are open for questions as well.
That was incredible. That was incredible. And did you see the chat? Just that you're phenomenal.
Oh, thank you.
And so we do have a couple of more traditional questions besides,
Sure.
you know, you're great. The blending of music was amazing. Teresa wanted to know, is it unusual for women to play the sitar, or was it traditionally played by men? And how long have you been playing?
I'm not sure if it's like traditionally played by men as such. Women are playing music. Women are very much involved in music since the beginning of the in Indian culture. Not that I know of, not really. Everybody plays. And I have been learning since I was in 8th grade. So I don't want to reveal my age, but I'm old. I've been playing a lot, and then I've been I'm taking lessons from my Guruji, Pushpende. We both are taking lessons from the same Guruji. So our teacher, Pushpende, as Phil mentioned, his main instrument is sarod, but he also teaches flute, guitar, violin, vocal. So he's well versed. And I have been learning from him since almost 2005, I would say. So almost 20 years plus. So, and we teach also, both of us, we also teach around here in the Boston area as well. So.
Teresa also wanted to know, what year or time period did this style of music start?
It dates back really, really back. So I would say, as I mentioned in my presentation, 13th, 14th century. So before that, when Mughal came, they brought the rabab instrument and sitar instrument into India as well. So originally in India, veena, which is like South Indian instrument, which is also a string instrument, which got modified as well into the sitar. So mainly, but it came from Mughals for sure. And then we adopted some of the Mughal style sitar playing. And we have different ways of playing sitar as well. So in India, each part has their own traditional way of playing. So there are little bit variations of in the raga itself, depending on which area it's played or how do you learn, who do you learn it from. So that's my knowledge, at least.
So that last piece was so much more upbeat than the first piece. So what's the background on that? Is there a special time of day when that piece is played?
Well, I think the official time slot, if you will, for this particular rag is actually midnight.
Mm-hmm.
It's to be played around midnight, but in practice, it's played in the evening,
Mm-hmm.
and late in the evening. Now your remark or your question about how it starts very slow, and then the second part was much livelier with faster tempos. That's actually in a classical presentation, in a classical Hindustani, that is
Right.
North Indian
Right.
presentation. that is the arc that
Mhm.
all rags are presented in. There's the basic structure, you sort of start in the low register and move gradually up to the high register.
Mhm.
And you start, well, in the very beginning, there was no set pulse.
Mhm.
There's there is an underlying pulse, sort of like breathing,
Mhm.
but it's not marked by the rhythm instrument, the
Mhm.
tabla. But then once the tabla comes in, you start at a slow tempo, which Yogesh ji called vilambit.
Mhm.
The slow tempo is called vilambit. You explore the rag in that slower tempo, and then it speeds up gradually, and then when it shifts to from sort of slow to medium tempo and then fast, you will often get a change in compositions as well.
Mhm.
But the overall progression has been from slow to fast, so that at the end, it's you have this jala section with the fur is really flying, and it's very lively at that point. But that basic form is used for whether the rag is a more sort of romantic sounding, or in the case of Malkant's sort of melancholy or sad, and everything in between. It will go, the structure is from slow to fast,
Mhm.
with a big sort of big climax at the end.
And,
And
Right. So slow tempo, like usually ala part makes is usually meant for to build the rag structure.
yes, to
Right.
present
Present
the
how
phrases, the
phrases, how
basic
it's
phrases,
blended. So each raga, as Phil mentioned, has specific
phrases.
phrases, ways of
Yeah,
playing.
little.
So yeah, so you have to explore them more and more. So this is more improvisational music. So that's how, but there are set phrases that only get played in particular raga. So that's how you have to present it. So once we establish that in slower pace, raga or vilambit, then it's supposed to become easier to play it in, like a medium tempo, and then get faster tempos, and then build it to climax and make it the end. So it's usually the structure of the full presentation. There are some ragas which are played, not played in full blown, like Vilambit, Madhyalan, and Drut. There are some ragas which we play only like a second part of the rag. If you are doing concert, first you usually present the whole rag, and then you pick the second rag, which is little bit more lively or lighter, and then you present that, and then you conclude with your concert, depending on time again, how much time you are allocated. So, yeah.
And there's a question for Phil. How did you gravitate towards Hindustani classical music?
It was sort of it was one of those situations where when I was just starting to really be interested in music generally, and my older brother brought home a record that he put on the turntable, and I had no idea what I was listening to. I don't think he did either, for that matter. It was something that it was an LP that one of the great exponents, Ali Akbar Khan Saib, he had made a recording, and I just as soon as the needle dropped, I was just sort of entranced by the sound of his instrument, and also, you know, I didn't understand anything about how or why he was doing it. It didn't sound like, and I was listening to the Beatles and the Rolling Stones at that point, but the music just really piqued my interest. And then through the years, again, at different times, I was introduced to it more and more sort of technically. I did go to music school, and there was a wonderful teacher there by the name of Dr. Peter Rowe, who himself had gone to India to learn sitar. And he had a course on the music, the classical music of India and its instruments. So that was a sort of my second opportunity to get more familiar with the music, to learn more about really how it worked. And then around the same time that Deepali started up with Pushpende, I was taking lessons with him as well, and he really deepened. I mean, you know, we're still taking lessons from him, but every week he taught us all of the repertoire, all of the rags. But really it was kind of a love at first hearing. I'd never been to India when I first heard it, but the music just, I just wanted to know more about it. I wanted to know how it worked.
Yeah.
And it's, that's
How it goes.
that's how it goes.
Yeah, I see someone asked us about how many hours do you dedicate to practice?
Well, never enough, according to
Right, our
our
Guruji.
guru. But well, I will say that you know, the really the masters, and in a way, I guess it's no different from the Western classical virtuosi. If you want to get really, really good, you know, it's a few hours every day.
Right.
But you know, I don't know how it is for you, Deepali, but I try to work at it at least an hour or so
Same.
every day.
Yeah,
now.
same for me.
And
Hour. I should do more again, but
yeah.
Yeah, we try to do as much as we can, but
I will say that for anyone who's, you know, thinking about taking up an instrument or learning vocal, if it's not even, if you can spend even 15 or 20 minutes a day focused, and make it steady, that's where you will gradually achieve, you know, progress and proficiency. If you can just, it's sort of like working out, you know, if you want to stay fit and healthy, you kind of have to do it a little bit each day.
yeah.
And then, but probably if you do want to become a master at it, you'll need to drop everything else in your life and just, yeah, rent a shack in the woods and just work at it.
Thank you. Thank you. And I think that is the end of the questions. I don't see any more, but over and over again, everyone is thanking you and telling you how amazing your presentation was and your music is, and
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Yes, it was
great.
It was a pleasure.
Pleasure.
it was wonderful having you. Thank you so
Thank
much.
So I think we are over the time now.
Okay. Good evening. Thank
Good.
you.
Thank
evening.
you. Bye.